Hey, good morning. This might be a long video. It might not. I'm not really sure what all I want to talk through on this topic. Because it's an area of great interest of mine, and I would say it's probably the place where I'm most interested these days, like to spend time questing, trying to piece together bits of the puzzle. I think when you get to a certain point with the external world, and or when you get to a certain point with your like true deep experience, personally understanding that you are the God of your reality, as the manifestation cult people would say, which really means you have complete control over where you choose to place your focus, how you perceive situations. You have complete control over changing all of those things, which completely controls the world, like twisting, the lens or whatever on a kaleidoscope. These things that you have control over basically control your world. They control what is let in, they control what is seen, they control what you experience and how you experience it, in a way that seems mystical. Your mentality infuses your being and your actions and everything else out in this seeming physical reality, which produces different physical reality results, more or less in alignment with what you think you want. That, the further away what you want is from how you actually feel aligned to that thing, the less you're going to experience that thing in the outer world. Basically, this stuff is not all that mystical when you spend enough time sort of simmering in it, I think, and viewing it. And I think the more time you spend there, the less the material pursuits of the world, whatever those things are, relationships, physical goals, money, all that stuff, just, they're still pursuits, but more and more it comes back to trying to figure out these other parts, or trying to shift these other parts. And I think what happens at some point is it becomes clear that literally everything that happens throughout the day is an opportunity for you to shift. Every single thing that happens throughout the day that you observe or experience is basically benign, and you are just there giving yourself information about where you are by how you react to it. And so that's like how I'm viewing everything that happens. And there's something kind of big happening in my periphery right now. It is connected to me because it's a family member. And it's also connected to me because it directly impacts parts of my life in other ways. But I have a young relative, who was having seizures in, I think, 2020, and went and had an MRI, and there was a tumor, and they thought it was benign, but it turned out it was grade 3 brain cancer, astrocytoma, which is sort of like a slow-growing tumor. They thought that had been growing for a long time, which was interesting because this person also, when I think of people in the manifesting community that are in the worst possible position, it would be people that are stuck in the mentality of being a victim and are, blaming everything but themselves for where they are, feeling a sense of entitlement to things that do not naturally belong to them based on their mental state. And also feel, also sort of using those perceptions to then fuel the idea that it's hopeless, or, to basically, it's a giant vicious circle for sure. And I think people can be unintentionally thrust into that mentality. Like, it's like one wrong move that's totally forgivable, and you find yourself in this sort of vortex sucking you into that place. And it's almost not your fault at all. Like, I mean, you're responsible for everything you're doing, but there is, there are there are levels of difficulty that I certainly can't pass judgment on anybody for not being equipped or whatever to overcome easily, if that makes sense. But so anyway, this relative of mine had this tumor removed. They were able to get like the whole tumor in 2020. And it was, he's in good health, he's young, and it was recommended to do treatment and stuff after that, chemo and radiation, which for some reason he just decided not to do. It wasn't financial in nature. He just kind of in line with the whole, I hate to be like, oh, it's a victim, especially now. But it kind of makes sense based on where he was existing mentally at that time. And over the last 4 years, nothing about that's really changed. In fact, it's gotten worse. And so anyway, this cancer returned, and it's in a different I learned so much about cancer last night, way more. There's been a cancer theme going on around me lately. And I'm really I try not to put any of my attention on stuff like that. Like, I don't think about getting cancer, or at least in the past, I never thought about getting cancer. I just don't involve myself much. Just don't put any focus in that area or think about it much. But last night, because I was feeling I really feel like I need to know what to expect here. I spend a lot of time on ChatGPT, talking to ChatGPT about, the current situation and all the facts that are known. Because anytime somebody, at least in my experience, and I've only had a couple, when somebody gets cancer and they are having a lot of symptoms and are sick, it's like it descends into chaos. And I feel like a big part of the chaos is that no one is willing to make predictions. The worst part, when my dad got sick, had lung cancer in 2020 and died shortly thereafter, my biggest issue with all of those doctors was that nobody would give me a clue. Even I have doctors in my family that I spoke to about this, and even they were wouldn't give me a clue. And maybe it's because they don't know, but ChatGPT had no problem doing this. So that was pretty amazing. I gave ChatGPT all of these, what I know, the facts of the situations that have occurred in the past and recently, because there were a bunch of events leading up to this new discovery of new cancer. And ChatGPT was able to give me a likely timeline, or just at least spell out what it could look like. And that's enough to cut through the chaos for me. Basically ChatGPT is there's an 80% chance that this is how this will play. There's an 80% chance that the pathology on this brain tumor will come back and be this, based on what the recent events have been. And if that's the case, there's an 80% chance that this is what the next 12 months will look like. And basically it just, ran through every aspect, month by month, all the different things. This is what treatment will likely be looking like. This is what cognitive abilities will likely be doing at that time. This is what, based on this person's personality, it even takes into account the fact that this person's been in a big depression for 10 years, other things like that. It takes those things and it gave me this thing that's sort of is that what's going to happen? Probably not. But at least I understand now to some level what it could look like, what it might look like for the majority of people in this situation, or a lot of people in this situation. So anyway, that was really helpful, and I learned a lot about cancer last night. And so anyway, all of that to say, this video is more about me and my mental processes relating to this. Firstly, there's a part of me that's like, don't put your attention here at all. But there's another part of me that's like, I want to know about this. I don't want to participate in having cancer or being treated for cancer, but I do want to understand. And it's interesting to me because of where this person was mentally for such a long time and the kind of like extreme nature of it. It's funny because I've known people that have like big drug addictions and stuff, or that have other things that are, they're like more depressed or whatever, but something about this particular person, this is one of like the worst mental states I've ever seen. Not like addicted to any kind of like bad drugs or anything like that. And not like, trying to like end it all regularly or, nothing. It's like none of the extremes, at least to my knowledge, were there, but there's like this, it's just like a very deep and dark case of going to the bad place and staying there. And so I'm really, this is in my reality. This has shown up. Whether I created it and brought it into my reality for the purposes of the mental exploration I'm doing, I don't know, or whether or not it's just showing up some other way and I'm using it for that purpose, I don't know, but it ends up in the same place. I'm not sure it really matters. It's interesting to me that this very rare thing happening at this very rare age, but to this person with this very dark mental state is interesting to me. It's making me want to think about how do these things manifest and why. And I was just texting with my friend ACIM Stacy, and she was saying, this is an opportunity maybe to like dismantle your belief in disease or something. And that's not at all where I am mentally. I would like, maybe this is just serving to for me personally, because I'm sure this has meaning for all the other people surrounding him. Maybe for me, it just serves to, it's like a very clear demonstration of illness being created by mind. And I know there are lots and lots of cases, because I think this human psychology and everything is really complex, and there are people who get these diseases that are not in that place. In fact, probably most of them aren't. I wouldn't say, oh, you got a glioblastoma, well, that must be because, you're depressed or something like, or whatever. But if you really, if you believe that the mind creates all illness, I'm wondering if this is, if the part of this that's for me is to be mindful of that for some reason. And there's something that's kind of bothering me in a way about myself. And it's like when ACIM Stacy said, maybe this is like your opportunity to change the belief in disease itself or whatever. I just don't feel like that's necessary. Like if a disease happens as a natural outcome of something mental, then the disease is that's just the physical manifestation. You don't need to fight the physical manifestation. You need to address the mental. Maybe this is just here for me so that I can strengthen that understanding. And the other thing about this is, so I've dealt with cancer now a few times. My dad died from it in 2020, end of 2020-ish. My mom got breast cancer in like 2011 maybe, or 10. I was never all that concerned about her dying. I never did any kind of praying that she would be okay. Just no inclination for that at all. I just looked at the situation rationally and said, well, this is less than ideal. It wasn't a good kind of breast cancer. It was it was like very, very, so small that they could barely even see it on a mammogram. She had to go get like, in fact, it was so small that they were like, we're not sure what this, you need to just come back in and get another one because we see something, we don't think it's anything, but you know, it's one of those things. And then it turned out to be there, obviously. And then when they went to like take it out, they found more accidentally. And then it was in her lymph nodes, which they didn't expect, which is really bad, you know. But then she got treatment for it. And it's 15 years later, they basically told her it's going to come back eventually if something else doesn't kill you first. I don't know how true that is, but she's all good, you know. But even then, when it got kind of scary with like the lymph node stuff, I was just like, well, you know, I mean, if it spreads and she dies, she dies. Like I felt no urge whatsoever to like manifest that away. And I mean, this was long before there were any manifesting communities online, really, other than The Secret. I certainly wasn't making videos about manifesting in 2011 or whatever. But I was very familiar with manifesting thanks to my experience building my business after reading The Science of Getting Rich about 5-6 years before that. And so that wasn't something that was outside of where I was, but I just there was nothing about that where I was like, I need to try to like change this. And it was the same thing with my dad. I was like, with him, it was worse because he was in bad shape and it seemed pretty obvious that he was going to die. And I just didn't feel like any resistance to that idea. You know, I didn't feel like I need to change this. I need to reach into my external experience and shift this around. And I'm glad for that because I would hate so much to see somebody in a, you know, state and be like, I need to fix this. That just sounds horrible to me. And I think that's a lot of people's reaction. It's just almost been like anytime there's one of these things that pop up, there's an instant acceptance of it for me. And I guess I'm questioning that in a way. That feels good to me. You know, it feels empowering to not feel like I need to change those things to make myself feel better or to comfort myself or something. But at the same time, I'm wondering, like, is that a good way to be towards that? Am I supposed to be trying to eradicate it? Like, am I supposed to be looking at disease and denying its presence? I think I'm getting more into A Course in Miracles now. I've been reading stuff here about it. By the way, I think I'm going to start reading that book for myself, and I think I might live stream it. I think I might actually read it out loud and live stream it at night when I'm at home. Just on the off chance that it will engage or benefit somebody out there. I don't know. If even like a few people were there for that, that would be interesting. And it would also, much like these videos in the morning, keep me focused in the right place, I think. But I think A Course in Miracles, I feel like the idea I've gotten from A Course in Miracles over the years is that you want to basically deny the existence of disease. But again, I think that's a misunderstanding, just like the interpretation of forgiveness for a lot of people from A Course in Miracles is a misunderstanding. I think to deny the existence of disease might be able to be translated as the full acceptance that disease is created by the mind. And that it isn't real and can't harm you in it can't harm your soul, it can't harm you spiritually. It can only appear to harm you physically in this illusion. That I can certainly get behind, and I think that's true. I rationally think that's true because based on a few key things, some accounts of past life regression that I've read, Many Lives, Many Masters, that series, Journey of Souls, those books. There's enough in there that sort of rang true to me that it made me kind of a believer that there is reincarnation, that there's obviously life after death and near-death experience accounts on YouTube. Having just like totally accepted that, it makes sense to me that nothing here can harm you, which is also the base premise of A Course in Miracles. Only love is real and everything else is fear and is false and is not real, including death, destruction, disease, all that stuff. So I think that might be the Course in Miracles interpretation of disease. It's always really bothered me that some of the prominent Course in Miracles people died from cancer. Like, I was always like, shouldn't that understanding mean that you can overcome it? But how exactly does reincarnation and the evolution of your soul, and by the way, these are rhetorical questions. Feel free to answer them in the comments, but I'm not actually asking for the answers to these questions. These are questions I have to answer on my own. But how does all of this manifesting ability and the ability to shift your experience just by shifting yourself, how does all that fit in with the manifestation of disease? How does the control over your reality that is apparent, much control that you have over your reality, how does that fit in with, the soul evolving through lifetimes? Can I look at this relative of mine? This is what I've been doing. I've been looking at his situation and his mental state and what I know of him over the last 10 years and throughout his life, because he's 12 years younger than me. My inclination with him has been to say, he appears like he's unsuccessful mentally in this current iteration, but it would make sense to me that he came here to experience all of this so that when he pops out on the other side, he can say, okay, now I can clearly see, through that experience, reflecting on that life, now I can truly see why it was of nearly no benefit to exist in the mental state I existed in. Now I can go forth into another life with that understanding and experience adversity in a different way. I can, that makes perfect sense to me. That also makes me feel bad about feel better about the bad experience that he's lived, all thanks to his mentality, by the way. He has experienced multiple tragedies in the form of loss of close friends at a young age, which I think really affected this whole life trajectory that led him to where he is now. Those can't be discounted. I haven't personally experienced that either, so I really can't judge. But of course, we all know people that have had tragedies that don't go and move permanently into the dark place. So, it would appear to me that this situation is for all of us. It's for him, but it's also what does all this mean to everybody else around him? There are other interesting things in that regard. Other things that make sense to me about why it would make sense for the people that are around him to experience what is happening in his life, like ways that they personally are being challenged, like the opportunity that it's presenting for like his family around him to grow, what it could mean for them, sort of like karma in a non-scary way. Like, here you go, you can use this for good or you can use this for bad. You can use this situation to burn up your karma, to change or not. Look, this video I'm sure made no sense at all, but it was like 7:50 a.m. I like to put a video up around 8, and I don't have anything in the backlog, and this is where I am this morning. This inspired me on another topic, and I want to talk about it, so I'm going to make another video about that, but maybe this one will never get posted. If you're seeing this video, then I guess I put it up, obviously, but maybe I'll just make this other video and just put that up. But right before I started this video, I asked the A Course in Miracles Oracle to I said to it, well, tell me what to speak on today. Tell me what I'm supposed to speak on this channel about today. And do I have it? I guess I might as well just add this in, because anybody who's listening this far must be interested in this topic, right? Let me see if I can find it. Oh, please still be there. No. Great, it's gone. Oh, no, there it is. So this is what it gave me. When I said, what should I speak on today? And, I spent 4 hours on ChatGPT last night talking to it about this cancer, and again this morning for a while, and that's kind of where I'm thinking. I was just talking to Stacy about it. So this is where I was when I asked for something to speak on. So I'm going to read this to you. I only read the beginning before I said, okay, well, this is what my whole channel's about, so I guess I just need to go talk. Chapter 29, The Awakening, 7, Seek not outside yourself. Seek not outside yourself, for it will fail, and you will weep each time an idol falls. Heaven cannot be found where it is not. There can be no peace excepting there. Each idol that you worship when God calls will never answer in his place. There is no other answer you can substitute and find the happiness his answer brings. Seek not outside yourself, for all your pain comes simply from a futile search for what you want, insisting where it must be found. What if it is not there? Do you prefer that you be right or happy? Be you glad that you are told where happiness abides, and seek no longer elsewhere. You will fail. But it is given you to know the truth, and not to seek for it outside yourself. No one who comes here but must still have hope, some lingering illusion, or some dream that there is something outside of himself that will bring happiness and peace to him. If everything is in him, this cannot be so. And therefore, by his coming, he denies the truth about himself and seeks for something more than everything, as if a part of it were separated off and found where all the rest of it is not. This is the purpose he bestows upon the body, that it seek for what he lacks, and give him what would make himself complete. And thus he wanders aimlessly about in search of something that he cannot find, believing that he is what he is not. Shall I go on? Yes, I shall. The lingering illusion will impel him to seek out 1,000 idols, and to seek beyond them for 1,000 more. And each will fail him, all excepting one, for he will die, and does not understand the idol that he seeks is but his death. Its form appears to be outside himself, yet does he seek to kill God's Son within, and prove that he is victor over him. This is the purpose every idol has. For this role that is assigned to it, this the role that is assigned to it. This is the purpose every idol has. For this the role that is assigned to it, and this the role that cannot be fulfilled. I feel like there's a verb missing there. Whenever you attempt to reach a goal in which the body's betterment is cast as a major beneficiary, you try to bring about your death. For you believe that you can suffer lack, and lack is death. To sacrifice is to give up, and thus to be without and to have suffered loss. And by this giving up is life renounced. Seek not outside yourself. The search implies you are not whole within, and fear to look upon your devastation, but prefer to seek outside of yourself for what you are. Did I read that correctly? Seek not outside yourself. The search implies you are not whole within, and fear to look upon your devastation, but prefer to seek outside yourself for what you are. This is why I have a hard time reading A Course in Miracles. Sometimes there's a sentence and I'm like, that is really awkwardly worded. Idols must fall because they have no life, and what is lifeless is a sign of death. You came to die, and what would you expect but to perceive the signs of death you seek? No sadness and no suffering proclaim a message other than an idol found that represents a parody of life, which, in its lifelessness, is really death, conceived as real and given living form. Yet each must fail and crumble and decay, because a form of death cannot be life, and what is sacrificed cannot be whole. So basically that's saying what you seek outside of yourself gives you an illusion that you have, if you get it, gives you an illusion that you are whole. But since it's an illusion, it has to crumble and die, because this illusion can't be the truth. And what isn't the truth cannot stand. All idols of this world were made to keep the truth within from being known to you, and to maintain allegiance to the dream that you must find what is outside yourself to be complete and happy. It is vain to worship idols in the hope of peace. God dwells within, and your completion lies in him. No idol takes his place. Look not to idols. Do not seek out yourself, outside yourself. Let us forget the purpose of the world the past has given it, for otherwise the future will be like the past, and but a series of depressing dreams in which all idols fail you one by one, and you see death and disappointment everywhere. To change all this and open up a road of hope and of release in what appeared to be an endless circle of despair, you need but to decide you do not know the purpose of the world. So is this telling me to stop trying to understand? But I want to. You give it goals it does not have, and thus you do decide what it is for. You try to see it in it a place of idols found outside yourself, with power to make complete what is within by splitting what you are between the two. You choose your dreams, for they are what you wish, perceived as if it had been given to you. Your idols do what you would have them do, and have the power you ascribe to them, and you pursue them vainly in the dream, because you want their power as your own. Yet where are dreams, but in a mind asleep? And can a dream succeed in making real the picture it projects outside itself? Save time, my brother. Learn what time is for, and speed the end of idols in a world made sad and sick by seeing idols there. Your holy mind is altar unto God, and where he is, no idols can abide. The fear of God is but the fear of loss of idols. It is not the fear of loss of your reality, but you have made of your reality an idol, which you must protect against the light of truth. And all the world becomes the means by which this idol can be saved. Salvation thus appears to threaten life and offer death. It is not so. Salvation seeks to prove there is no death, and only life exists. The sacrifice of death is nothing lost. An idol cannot take the place of God. Let him remind you of his love for you, and do not seek to drown his voice in chants of deep despair to idols of yourself. Seek not outside your Father for your hope, for hope of happiness is not despair. I mean, I guess if you're really, what's the word? I'm always missing this word. Like, I want to say if you're fully bought in, or you really believe, or you really understand, but those words don't cover it. You know, when you shift into the reality that there is nothing outside of yourself to change or fix, it's literally only in you, it's only in your mind. I guess that is basically the answer to every single question you have in life. So if I'm looking at this situation with my younger relative, which I'm very detached from it. It's a part of my extended family. It's somebody I love, of course, but it's not somebody I interact with on a regular basis. I'm also very good as a previous over-empathizer, like feeling other people's pain for no freaking reason. I've gotten really good also at being in control of my thoughts and feelings about what other people are going through. I'm like very good at that. So I haven't been allowing myself to, I've had a few moments of thinking, fuck, like, how would I feel if I were in this situation? Given, like, the likely prognosis, like, how would I feel? I try not to go there because I don't think it is too beneficial, and I think the mind's very powerful, and I've experienced, especially my mind is very, like, there's a short distance between taking something on and it starting to create things in the world, even if I take it on like just for a little while. So I don't try to like imagine how would I feel if I was dying, or if I thought I was going to die, or if my life would, you know, because I immediately really start feeling what that would feel like. And I just, I don't know. I try not to dabble in that because I'm not really sure what the outcome of that would be if I spent much time there. But so I'm not like over empathizing with the situation. It's peripheral to me. So I'm not super deeply emotionally affected by it. So I don't feel like I am in need of seeking some major perspective shift, but maybe that's a trap. Maybe that's a trick. Maybe just like everything else, you know, seek not outside yourself. I'm looking for information. There must be a part of me that is feeling very uncomfortable about this or something. And so it's coming out as sort of like a deceptively benign interest. That's what I'm experiencing this as. Like I'm feeling very interested in how would this play out, or what's the likely progression? Why does this happen? You know, I'm picking it apart. And in a way, it's very interesting and enticing. But I think sometimes those things can be deceptive masks for underlying fear, because there's a part of this that makes me very uncomfortable, like I'm going to create it in myself or in somebody who is closer to me, where it would be much, much more difficult to, you know, not become emotionally very affected. Seek not outside yourself. I'm going to leave this here, and obviously this video was not made with the intention really of assisting anyone, but I would imagine something in here because this was the A Course in Miracles Oracle return when I asked it what to talk about, and because this is on my mind, and because this is definitely, you know, definitely everything is a manifestation, so everything is in the realm of pertinence to this channel and its topics. But I think because of this, I'm going to have to assume that while this doesn't feel like something that was helpful to anybody, there had to have been something in here that created a miracle, that spoke to somebody who needed to hear it in some way, or, you know, this will shift somebody's thinking in a different direction that will lead them where they need to go. This is really a big hurdle for me with this channel because I really care about quality to some degree. Obviously, I don't care about it to the degree that I'm willing to set up a studio or something, or do this in some specific way, or make this video full of bells and whistles to delight and you know, mystify people watching it. But I do hate to put stuff up where I'm just like, what the hell was that? But that's going to be this. That's what this is. So anyway, I hope that if you are dealing with this, because I know many people are, I hope if you're dealing with anything in this area, that something about this, just talking about it, helped in some way. And the last thing I want to say to anybody who is in the midst of one of these things, it's the chaos that makes these situations so bad. You know, I remember when my dad was sick and I was visiting him in the hospital during his tiny window of being allowed to see anybody during COVID. And a nurse came in, and I forget, I made some comment, and she said, well, you know, you just take it hour by hour. And I was like, how did you get that from what I just said? Like, I must have expressed something in the chaos realm. Because she was like, yeah, you know, with cancer, you just take it hour by hour. And I was like, why is that? Shouldn't it be like normal? Shouldn't it just be like you go to a doctor's appointment and you come home and hang out? Why are there always all of these events that seem to happen? Because I thought it was just happening to us. I was just like, holy shit, like nothing is stable. Everything is up in the air. Something is happening every day, even like unrelated to his cancer. There was a tropical storm that like the ocean was under our hotel. It was crazy. Like parts of the car we were driving kept like breaking and falling off. It was so insane. It was just like one thing after another. I got absolutely eaten alive by bed bugs, which thank God I did not realize that's what it was at the time. I'm like, this has to be sand fleas. We're at the beach. It was bed bugs. I have pictures of it, and it was freaking bed bugs. So we were staying in a hotel that had bed bugs. Somehow didn't bring them home with me, thank God. But like, it was stuff like that. Like, what? I got eaten by bed bugs while I'm down. Like, why would that happen? It was just like 100 things like that happened. God, just a million things. Anyway, but it's that chaos that makes it so unbearable, because as a human, it is just not something that is functional for there to be no predictability or stability. Even if that's an illusion, it's an illusion that we need, at least currently. So if you're in that situation, recognize that it's not you or your situation. It's the nature of what's going on for things to be or feel chaotic. So if you can define that, like, a lot of my anxiety about the situation is not that I'm afraid somebody's going to die or that I can't, it's that I have no freaking clue what's going to happen. You can, I think, once you know that that's a source of discomfort, you then can have an intention. You can then clearly ask for the shift that you need. Like, let me have an idea of what to expect here. Let me have something that, removes this chaos. I don't know. I can't come up with what it is. A million different ways that could happen. But I did, I noticed that talking to ChatGPT about this relative of mine helped me a lot. I was having a lot of anxiety over the last few days, just being on the periphery of it, thinking about it. And then when I talked to ChatGPT about the likely or whatever progression and in detail, even though the news wasn't good, it wasn't something that like you would want to happen to anybody, just the fact that it's like, oh, okay, I get this. That's, no, it's not, it's certainly not ideal, but it's, the chaos at least is predictable. It's sort of like brought a level of peace. I'm definitely not feeling any suspended state of what's going to happen now. It's like, okay, I don't know about you. it's just much better. I'm much better at accepting things that seem bad, because I don't feel the need to change a lot of things. I just don't. It's like this says, there's nothing, nothing no one to change but self. Seek not outside yourself. I don't feel like I have to look outside and say, I need to change that thing for my own comfort. It's the internal that changed. You know what I mean? I don't know what's going to happen, but that session with ChatGPT where it gave me a clue, that was the internal change I needed. That was the nothing and no one to change but self. Changed myself. Nothing in the outer changed. So, okay. Yeah. Anyway, that last little message, all I was trying to say is, if you can define that it's the chaos that is really disrupting your life, you might find it a lot easier if you can sort of like pick a lane and pick what that lane looks like and say, this is probably what's going to happen, so I'm not going to think about it anymore. I'm not going to react anymore the way I've been reacting with like panic or anxiety or whatever, because it doesn't have to be the thing that actually plays out. It just has to get you, something has to get you to a mental state where you can embody peace and calm and, amidst the chaos. Okay, bye-bye.